Let's get right into it. Number 7, the unlucky dog. It all starts, as so many disasters do, with a dog. In 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter's pet canary was, according to legend, eaten by a cobra on the very day Carter discovered Tutankhamun's tomb. Yep, a cobra, which just so happens to be the symbol of the pharaoh's power, specifically the goddess Wajia, protector of Lower Egypt. The locals immediately saw it as an omen. The pharaoh was not happy. That little bird kick-started the curse panic. But here's the issue: snakes eat birds. It's what they do. It's like calling a curse because a wolf ate a sheep. It's nature. But at the time, people saw this as the first sign that the tomb was protected by supernatural forces. And honestly, if a cobra shows up at your door, maybe reconsider your life choices. Number 6, the mysterious deaths. Within a decade, more than a dozen people who were present at the tomb's opening died prematurely. The most famous is Lord Carnarvon, Carter's financial backer, who died from an infected mosquito bite just 5 months after the tomb was opened. As the story goes, at the exact moment of Carnarvon's death in Cairo, all the lights in the city went out, and back in England, his dog let out a howl and keeled over dead too. Spooky, right? Well, yes, but also explainable by the local power grid being unreliable and the fact that dogs howl. Still, it fueled the curse frenzy. But over the years, researchers crunched the numbers. The life expectancy of the people who entered the tomb was actually normal for the time. In fact, Howard Carter himself lived for another 17 years, so maybe the curse wasn't as deadly as advertised. But that doesn't mean the tomb was harmless. With you waros. Number 5, toxic mold spores. Here's where it gets biological. When Carter cracked open the tomb, he didn't just find gold and jewels. He found over 3,000 years of undisturbed organic matter, food, linen, oils, and, crucially, mold. In the damp, dark environment, fungi like Aspergillus niger and Aspergillus flavus thrived. These little jerks produce mycotoxins, chemicals that are genuinely deadly when inhaled. If you've ever smelled a musty basement and felt a bit dizzy, imagine 3,000 years of that concentrated in the air. Modern studies have shown that opening sealed ancient tombs can release clouds of spores that cause severe allergic reactions, lung infections, and even death, especially in people already weakened by age or illness. Lord Carnarvon had a weakened immune system from a car accident years earlier. So maybe the curse was just a really bad case of fungus. As far as ancient booby traps go, that's both clever and disgusting. Number 4, the bacteria that never died. Mold is bad, bacteria, worse. In fact, when scientists finally examined the mummy of Tutankhamun in 2005, they found something chilling on his body: spores of bacteria that were still viable after 3,300 years. Specifically, they discovered strains of Staphylococcus and even Clostridium, the nasty bug that causes tetanus and botulism. If you cut yourself on a piece of tomb debris and those bacteria got in, you'd be looking at a serious infection, possibly fatal in the 1920s, before antibiotics were widely available. And guess what? Everyone who entered the tomb was cutting themselves on sharp edges, breathing dust, and generally acting like archaeologists do. Plus, these bacteria can form endospores, essentially a survival mode, where they become nearly indestructible. They can survive vacuum, radiation, boiling water, and apparently thousands of years in a pharaoh's armpit. So next time you complain about the gym locker room smell. Number 3, the radioactive coffin. As if toxic mold and immortal bacteria weren't enough, the tomb itself might have been radioactive. Granite, a common building material in ancient Egyptian tombs, contains uranium and thorium, both of which decay into radon gas. In enclosed spaces with poor ventilation, radon can accumulate to dangerous levels. Modern measurements in Egyptian pyramids have found radon concentrations up to 50 times higher than the recommended safety limits. And that's today, with ventilation. Back in 1922, when Carter first broke in, those gases would have been trapped for millennia. Inhaling radon increases your risk of lung cancer significantly, so perhaps the curse wasn't a supernatural bolt of fire, but a slow, invisible poison that killed from the inside. Even more ironic, ancient Egyptians believed that granite stone held protective properties. They weren't wrong, it just wasn't protecting them from physics. Number 2, the poison paints. The walls of Tutankhamun's tomb were covered in beautiful paintings, but some of those pigments were absolutely lethal. Ancient Egyptians loved their arsenic-based orpiment yellow and realgar red. Yes, you read that right. They painted with pure arsenic compounds. These pigments, when powdered or handled, can release toxic dust that causes severe poisoning, nerve damage, and cancer. Howard Carter and his team spent months scraping and brushing the walls, unwittingly inhaling and ingesting arsenic. Modern analysis of mummies from the era has found high levels of arsenic in their hair and tissues, not from the mummy itself, but from the environment. So the very act of preserving and decorating the dead made the space deadly. Talk about adding insult to injury. The pharaoh wanted to look pretty for eternity, and instead he created a chemical weapon. Number 1, the psychological factor. The scariest thing about the mummy's curse, it's in your head. Once the media ran wild with the story of Carnarvon's death, everyone who had been near the tomb became terrified. And fear is a powerful killer. Chronic stress weakens the immune system, increases blood pressure, and can literally break your heart, a condition called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome. So when a journalist who visited the tomb suddenly died of a heart attack, he wasn't cursed, he was scared to death. The placebo effect works in reverse too, the nocebo effect, where believing you'll get sick can actually make you sick. So the curse was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The ancient Egyptians might have actually known this. They used psychological warfare in their tomb texts, threatening anyone who disturbed them with horrors worse than death. And it worked. For thousands of years, grave robbers were kept at bay by fear. But in 1922, fear wasn't enough to stop a determined archaeologist, until, of course, toxic mold, radiation, arsenic, and immortal bacteria did the job. The curse was real, but not supernatural. It was a perfect storm of natural hazards, human psychology, and terrible air quality. So if you ever get invited to an ancient tomb opening, maybe bring an N95 mask and a Geiger counter and a priest, just in case. That's all for this video. I will be making similar kind of video in future. Subscribe to stay updated.